Are you ready for a real estate boom like no other? Folks, Redfin just published an article focusing on a gentleman named Gene Marks. He's the head of the Marks Group. And all I got to say is I think Gene watches this channel. Gene lays out an excellent argument for the fact that the real estate industry is on a cusp of a boom. Let me lay out the logic, and I want you to tell me if this is the same logic you and I have been talking about for years. Step one, we have been in a real estate depression, right? If you are in the real estate industry, and I'm talking about anybody, agents, brokers, painters, appraisers, escrow, you know the list. It has been hard. We've also seen a lot of people exit stage left. They have left the industry and gotten jobs elsewhere. This obviously started in Jackson Hole when Jerome Powell said pain is coming, and still continues to this day. Now, it'll be interesting on Thursday when we get the existing home sales, because again, I'm standing my ground in calling August the bottom. Again, I'm not calling any snapback or V-shaped recovery, but a bottom is a bottom. Also, in the article, Gene highlights that the real estate industry, depending on who you talk to, makes up between 14 and 18% of the economy. That's almost 1/5. And again, as I have talked about for quite a while, if you have 1/5 of the economy in a depression and the economy is still growing at 3%, what does that mean? Well, it means if you can get that 20%, again, 15%, whatever number you want to pick, cranking again and not being a negative or headwind, we could see some good times. So Gene Marks goes on to highlight that the magic number to get this industry cranking again is a mortgage rate, home purchase, owner-occ mortgages at 5.5%. Again, I ask you, haven't we been talking about 5.5% being that magic number? Yes, I do believe 5.99 creates some activity, but I think, and I've always said that 5.5, right, 5.5% mortgage is the trigger, is the let's go number. The reason 5.5 is the right number is, as Gene highlights, we have about 18% of existing mortgages sub 3.5%, but we also have 22% of mortgages over 6. So again, as time has gone by, we are starting to see the lock-in effect be less strict. And as we go down, we will bring about 60% of the market will be in a position where they could trade up and their interest rate is within acceptable levels. You're not going to go from 2 to 8%. You're going to go from 4.8 to 5.3, for example, which again, on, dollars amount over 30 years is an additional payment of, less than $100. So again, 5.5 is the number. Actually, there is one more thing. Another thing, reason why I think Gene watches this channel. Frankly, you and I talked about it yesterday. I have said for years, this is the only answer to affordability issues. And that is wages, aka income, has to grow faster than inflation, and income has to grow faster than home prices. That is how over years, and I do mean years, affordability will come back into place. So again, Redfin says a real estate boom is coming, but I will actually add something that was not in the article and I think is a huge miss. One of the reasons that I think real estate is about to turbocharge the economy is our equity position. We have never had this much equity in real estate. Never. I forget what the number is, but it was something like 28 or 29 trillion dollars in equity. I know consumers. And if we get to a rate of 5.5%, millions of people will tap the ATM machine called their home, extract at least $1 trillion. $1 trillion. That is like, I don't know, what is that? 3%, right? If you assume that the equity position is 30 trillion and they take 1 trillion, that's like 33.3%. So again, it's coming. The question is when? Is it next year? Is it summer? When is that? But this 1 trillion in equity extraction will actually do lots of things. Typically speaking, a large percent of that equity extraction will go to pay down credit card debt. Again, knowing consumers, they'll just run it back up again, but that's neither here nor there. We will see credit card balances fall. And I don't need to have the discussion about, is that a good idea, unsecured, secured? I don't care. It's going to happen. You can say it's a bad thing, and frankly, I agree with you. Why take unsecured debt and make it secured? But in my opinion, doesn't matter. Millions of Americans will do a debt consolidation by using their home equity. That is coming. Number two, we will see people do frivolous things. They will say things like, I deserve and I need to do this, and they will take vacation and buy cars and all of that. And then a small percent, right? My community, likely the folks watching this, they will use that equity extraction at 5.5%, and they will go find investments that earn 8, 9, 10, 11, 12%. This is coming. This was a piece of the puzzle that Redfin and Gene Marks missed. And that is how you take a depression of real estate and you turbocharge the entire U.S. economy. Now, the question you should ask, and the question I ask myself almost daily, when do we get to 5.5%? That is the magic number. I think it gets interesting sub 6, but it is like a rocket at 5.5%. So again, shout out to Redfin, ditching the doom. Oh, and by the way, the doomers are going to hate it. You and I both know the crash bros and the doomers who only create to steal hope will create some other nonsense. They will talk about something bigger than 2008. It's all fake. They all have PTSD. They all pay their rent with fear. They're evil, evil people. Stop watching them. So let's talk about some other stuff that was interesting. I thought the most interesting earnings to read in the last 24 hours was Zion. Remember Zion Bank? They were the one that disclosed a $50 million issue. Well, turns out, folks, they beat top line. They beat bottom line, even with $60 million charge-off. They took a $50 million charge-off for basically fraud. They added another $10 million for just in case. That is a 0.04% of average loan value, less than 0.5%, less than 1/20%, right? It's 0.04. So it's less than 0.05. So again, not a big deal. The one issue at Zion Banks is new loan volume shrank. Quarter on quarter, loan growth was down -3%. So at the end of the day, even with the $60 million charge-off, Zion still made $221 million, made $1.48 a share. So again, Zion Banks, even with this headline grabbing write-off, still crushed it, still beat top line, still beat bottom line. Then there is Service First Bank shares. Again, one of the things I am paying special attention to is community banks and smaller banks. This one, folks, is a bank, frankly, I never heard of. Never heard of it. But they had earnings yesterday, so I checked it out. They missed top line, missed bottom line, but raised guidance. You don't normally see that. I do not recall a time where a company missed revenue, missed earnings, and then raised guidance. That is a unusual happenstance. Redfin highlighted in a different article that the median down payment is now at a record level. This data is from August. Median down payment is now $70,000. That is up 6% year on year. Yes, folks, median is $70,000. Home buyers buying cash, that's you and I for a big part of that, down to 29%. 2 years ago, we were at 35%. If you're buying in West Palm Beach, almost half the transactions are cash at 43%. Cleveland, almost half at 42%. And then Miami at 39%. So again, roughly 4 out of every 10 transactions in West Palm Beach, Cleveland, and Miami are cash, which is pretty crazy. Ray Dalio telling folks to up their exposure to gold. He says that you could go as high as 15% of your portfolio, which I thought was pretty interesting. Folks, we have 2 Fed meetings left, right? We have one in October and one in December. This news shocked me. There are increasing bets that we will actually see 75 basis points in the next 2 meetings. What does that mean? That means one of these 2 meetings will be a jumbo cut. Now, if you believe the numbers around October, actually, according to 115 out of 117 economists, hey guys, you need to add me to this list. I have an econ degree. Come on, add me to this list. I'll help you out. But anyways, 115 out of 117 economists expect a 1/4 point cut in October. So what do those 2 things mean? That means buckle up for a Christmas present in December with a jumbo cut of 50. That is pretty crazy. Last thing we'll talk about, we'll run through some earnings. The most important one for this community was actually Pulte Group, a national home builder. Not good news, folks, but actually it is good news. We'll get into that in a minute. What happened last quarter? Declining orders, net orders down, backlog down, weakening forward-looking indicators. What does this mean? It means the builders are going to shrink. They are going to get very focused on producing product that is sold. The answer to all of this, I hope, is they start building smaller and smaller homes because we need first-time homes. We don't need more luxury and McMansions. We need to fill the hole in the market. And the fact that builders are hurting means I guarantee you they are having executive meetings around big boardrooms going, where can we build smaller homes? Where can we turn a profit? Because there's only one part of the market that is hungry for inventory, and that is first-time entry-level housing. We've seen some builders, most notably Lennar, take on small homes. I've seen homes under 700 square feet in Texas. Folks, remember the answer in 1950 from going from 1 to 2 million homes was smaller homes. We can do it again. They just need to get focused and creative, and poor performance could be that indicator. 3M beat top line and bottom line and raised guidance. Coca-Cola beat top line, bottom line, had 6% revenue growth. And then finally, General Motors, GM, beat top line, beat bottom line, and raised guidance, which means they sold more cars, in their case, trucks. They made more money, and they said the future is bright. Folks, it is fun to watch the U.S. economy work. Got lots of tugs and pulls. Don't forget, you need to be in our wealth community. It is right there on the screen. You go to school.com, school with a K, /ORaaT, which stands for One Rental at a Time. And you can get around other wealth builders. In fact, we had 3 people join yesterday: Mamata, Sam, and Jordan. You know you want to be a part of this community. It is a wealth club. The wealth club had, as of this morning, 461 members. We are racing towards 500. Why aren't you a part of the community already? You know you need to be around other wealth builders. And there is no better way than 67 pennies a day. Go join the community. If you want to try before you buy, you can reach out to Mark, the Financial Firefighter, on Instagram. and he is still reimbursing a couple of you for your first month or $20. And of course, don't forget the sponsor of the daily financial news, Steadily Insurance. They are landlord insurance, and we have all seen insurance rates skyrocket. So give them a call. There's a link in the description. Let them know you came from One Rental at a Time, and they will help you. Maybe they get you better rates and better coverage. Maybe they don't. They have about a 60% hit rate with Olivia and I. And obviously, if you want to flip that over, that means 40% of the time we are staying with our existing insurance. Folks, go to school, join the community, get around other wealth builders. If you want to get wealthy, get around wealth builders. If you want to stay broke, hang out with your current friends. It's that simple. Take care. Later.